The subcommittee on Livestock and Foreign Agriculture hearing will now come to order. The topic of this morning's hearing is safeguarding American agriculture from wild, invasive, and non-native species, a challenge that has plagued American agriculture throughout the various regions of our country historically, and one that American agriculture has to contend with, and we hope to have a balanced group of witnesses to testify here today as to those challenges. And while the subcommittee obviously's jurisdiction is on livestock and foreign agriculture, a lot of our focus as it relates to these issues of wild, invasive, and non-native species relate to the foreign agricultural part of the jurisdiction of this subcommittee, because as we know, so much of American agriculture is exported, and oftentimes we have to contend with issues on our ability to market our products abroad with regards to issues of invasive species that are non-native species that other parts of the world argue that may not meet phytosanitary standards, and it's a part of our challenge and a part of our effort. So I welcome the attendance here today of the members of the subcommittee, and we look to hold a good hearing with the witnesses that we have before us. I want to thank everybody for being here. Obviously, the impacts of invasive and non-native species impact agricultural supply chains. We have a group of witnesses here that deal with these issues regularly, and how we, in fact, deal with steps on importers and exporters that we attempt to try to keep invasive species from impacting the various commodities that we produce so that trade can continue. The subcommittee oversees, obviously, key parts of the U.S. Department's functions that partner with addresses that involve wildlife services at the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, as well as the Department of Ag Trade Promotion efforts. Recently, I had an intervention with USDA and working on a problem that we had with China on tomato seeds, for example. Our discussion, I think, is going to complement the good work of our colleagues on the Biotechnology, Horticulture, and Research Subcommittee, of which we have some members here this morning who serve on that committee as well as the Conservation and Forest Subcommittee. And so the hope is to, while there's overlap, to complement our efforts with the other two subcommittees. Specifically from my own background, I can tell you in California, we have a host of these issues, both in invasive and non-native species. Examples of those is the nutria populations that have damaged wetlands and farmlands, but they've also taken place in Maryland, and they've taken place in Louisiana as well. We also have wild birds that have played a role in introducing Newcastle virus in poultry flocks, and while in other states these animals have also been linked to similar damage and disease that has taken place. It's an issue that affects the entire country, region to region. On the 2018 Farm Bill that we all worked on together, we started a pilot project to address the issue of feral swine in the Southeast. I look forward to hearing more about how the initial implementation of this program is going. If the pilot project's working well, I would suggest to members here, the subcommittee and the full committee, that we might be a model to address invasive species issues in the future. And so we, I think, need to look at that. Along our southern border and our ocean ports, the seasonal nature of the specialty crop industry means trucks and barges carrying fruits and vegetables from outside the U.S. are potential vectors for dangerous pests that have not yet been established in this country. And I've been at the border both through California all the way to Texas, and I've seen the concern and the attempt to address that from ensuring that it doesn't happen. For all these reasons and more, I think many of our colleagues today here are joined with the agriculture inspector resources at our ports and other points of entry. We can't expect Customs and Border Protection or the Department of Agriculture to evolve its capabilities to match these evolving threats, in my view, without the resources to do so. And I think that's one of the things we want to hear about here today is whether or not we're actually providing the necessary resources to do that. So with that said, I want to make sure that all members understand that in consultation with the ranking member pursuant to Rule 111E, to make sure that members of the subcommittee are aware and other members of the full committee may join with us today. Obviously, we welcome that participation. So I want to welcome our witnesses and recognize my esteemed ranking member, Mr. Rouser from North Carolina, for any remarks.
You want to recognize